Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for choosing to attend this special presentation today. And I'm thrilled that Renee Hamilton has agreed to come join us here in Red Deer. Renee expresses himself as an entrepreneur, founder, and inventor of quantum nanovortex technology. He also expresses himself as an artist, photographer, lecturer, regular radio talk show guest, life coach, system researcher, and clairvoyant. As a clairvoyant, Renee has a unique ability to intuitively see into other people's mind patterns and emotional patterns that cause destructive tendencies in their lives. Born highly intuitive and sensitive to energies, Renee has been able to fine-tune his clairvoyant abilities and spiritual connection with the cosmic mind and his higher self. Through much training, guidance, and understanding, he has developed what he calls quantum nanovortex field effect technology. However, today Renee is here to share his experiences with reality and illusion. What you're about to learn will likely make you question everything you thought you knew about your reality. So please join me in welcoming Renee.
Thank you so much. Let me know if my voice is loud enough or not. This mic is kind of new to me here. Thank you so much for showing up. I know I see many faces here I've seen before, and here to talk about a very interesting subject that I've sort of been working towards my whole life since I've been very young. However, things didn't really materialize until more recently in terms of a big shocker for me, so to speak. And I'll start off with thanking Carol for hosting this and everyone coming down. I know your time is valuable, so I won't waste it at all here, and really get on with what I have to say. And the talk this evening or today is going to be about reality and how it works, the mechanics of reality, and what exactly is taking place within ourselves, and what makes the world seem like it is the way it is. And we're going to explore a different side of reality that I have moved into that vastly differs from this level of reality that we know here. You could say about 6 months or so ago, it's been ongoing for a couple of years, but it was around 6 months or so that there was a breaking point in my life in which I realized there were some anomalies happening in my world. And I'm sure many of you have noticed a lot of synchronicities and deja vus and time sequences, maybe a little, time doesn't seem to be moving the way it used to. Things are speeding up, things are quickening. People are, freaking out. Some people are awakening. There seems to be a very strong presence of something happening. Which is what I have noticed for a couple of years ago, is that there were some deep inner changes happening in my life. And consequently, I'm just going to get straight to the point right away, is that I uncovered that I could say for myself, I was living in a matrix, okay, a false reality that we're all living in, and that I didn't know was false until I came out of it. I didn't know what life was really, truly about until I came out of a sort of a trance. And I call it a trance because it's clear to me from this state of consciousness that how I was living before was not really conscious. I was conscious, it's not to the level to which I am now, not really aware of what was taking place and why it was taking place. So as we grow up, we are told what life is about, how it works, how to spell, how to count, how to deduct reasoning, cause and effect, what causes what to happen, time, space, gravity, just the whole meal deal about life. We're taught this by our teachers, parents, priests, pastors, friends, TV, you name it. We're just bombarded by stories and ideas of how life works and what it all means. And from this, we are supposed to take all this information and assimilate it and gather our own way to make our way through life and hopefully reach a place of happiness and bliss, or just enjoy life in general. However, that doesn't seem to be the case. It seems that we go through our lives, and lives seem to get more difficult as we go on. And all this knowledge that we've learned since we've been children and whatnot doesn't seem to bring us to a point where we're blissfully happy just being ourselves. Life seems to become a lot more difficult once we get past the responsibility or the lack of responsibility when we're a child. So we've come into a point in which we're adults or young adults, in which life becomes very serious and turns out to be a very what's the word? Deep event. It's a very stressful event growing up for most people in North America. And I've always wondered why life had to be so hard. I was growing up, and my teachers and family and everyone was saying I need to go to college and get this and that, and I just knew there was more to life, much more to life. And when I was growing up at a very young age, I knew that I was not from Earth. I had a very strong memory of being a child of the universe, and that continued with me until around the age of 10 years old. And I had a very blissful, a very mystical childhood. A lot of strange things were happening all the time, things teleporting and moving stuff with the mind, and intuitively knowing things and seeing other worlds and universes. A very rich, deep life in other worlds. And then one day around the age of 10 years old, that all ended. So what happened is I felt extremely connected with all of life. I felt really connected with God and creation, and had a very dreamy existence. And then one day that just shut off. It was like I entered 3D reality for the first time. And it was traumatizing for me. It blew my mind away. I couldn't believe what just happened, where the love went, where the pleasure went, where the other worlds and universes went. I was just lost. I was just trapped in this body here, and I didn't know what to do about it. And I became very distraught and rebellious. I got into a lot of theft and stealing and fighting and pickpocketing and purse snatching and selling drugs, doing drugs, fighting, and you name it, just lots of crime and a lot of craziness, just to compensate for my lack of joy. I needed to do something to prove myself to my friends, to my buddies, to see what I was made of in a brave way. And I did a lot of things that were pretty heinous in terms of morality or ethics. However, these experiences did bring me to a certain level of depth that some people do not get to experience. Not that I'm saying doing crime and all these low vibration things are positive or something that should be looked up to. It's just that these experiences have brought me to certain realizations that some people have not gotten due to their experience. So basically around the age 18, after many years of just being a crazy teen, I had an awakening in which I realized what I was and why I was here, what I was doing, where I needed to go, and how to get there. And this was sort of like an instant download, almost like someone plugging a computer into my brain and just flooding it with information that it all made sense, and it all seemed like it was valid. So it was something that definitely gave me a whole new perspective on life, and I sort of headed in that direction, and to awakening and moving beyond my negative attitudes that were causing massive destruction in my life. And I've always been very, very popular, extremely popular in high school and junior high, and had hundreds of friends, and all my friends had hundreds of friends. There was like 1,000 of us in our neighborhood who were just extremely popular. So whatever we said would sort of go amongst all of our friends, and it would spread. And so I was very influential in my younger years. And because of that influentialness, you could say I helped spread negative ideas and things onto Earth. And that just didn't stop then. That went into my 20s, up until the age of 30 or so, in which I sort of had my second awakening. And that's when I started to take these things I learned over the years, my own spiritual development and my own yearning for truth, and I started to focus that more towards a positive, productive lifestyle. And as a result of me doing that, my abilities, my intuitive, clairvoyant, whatever you want to call it, higher perceptions or more clear perceptions started to shine through. And I started to do a lot of readings for people, medical intuitive readings, in which I can look at people's bodies and see what sort of illnesses, what sort of energies are going on. Also developed the ability to look into people's minds and see how they're thinking, why they're thinking, what they're thinking. Almost like the mind has like an architect's blueprint for it. And it's like I could see that, just glancing at people, I could see a sort of structure in which their mind operates, both mentally and emotionally, and in other ways. There's other ways, but those other ways don't have a definition, so I can't explain it to you. It's more of a feeling, it's more of almost like a karmic knowing, so to speak. So it's hard to explain. However, I spent many, many years doing thousands of readings for people and seeing what makes people tick, and really looking deep within myself, and develop some really amazing abilities in that aspect. And with that information, I took that and realized how to manipulate energy, life force, chi, the very underlining physical creation per se, and created a whole new technology called, well, it's an ancient technology that's reborn, called quantum nanovortex technology. And Carol has been working with me for many, many years with the products and getting them out there, and having it all around the world now, and developing new technologies that are pretty amazing, and it's just continuing on forward. So basically, before the age of 30, I used my psychic or intuitive abilities for, you could say, more on a more dark end per se. Like, for example, one day I was going through Safeway with a friend of mine, and we decided we're going to go steal something, purse, money, something. And I think I was 15 years old, and we went to Safeway, and we're walking, and a lady had her wallet in the cart, and the cart had a top little layer there. I'm not sure if carts do anymore, but they used to. And she had her wallet in there, and we're walking to Safeway, and I just saw her wallet sitting there, and I just grabbed it and just ran opposite direction out of the store right away. And there's a bunch of men and everyone chasing us, and she's yelling, "Thief!" And me and my friend are running, and we run into the wrong door, into the indoor, so we smash our faces, full speed onto this glass on the way out, and then realize there's 10 men behind us chasing us, so we run out and jump into the back of the truck and keep on running. And then the whole point of this is to get some money out of the purse. So I opened the purse, and it was like $20, $30, and that was it. And there was a bunch of us, and we're like, well, that was a waste of time. So knowing my own abilities to go into other worlds per se, I looked through everything. All I found was a bank card, and I said to the universe, I'm going to will myself knowing what their bank card numbers are. And something told me in that moment, her bank card number is hidden as a phone number somewhere. And so I went through every piece of paper in the purse and found a business card with a phone number written on the very bottom right hand corner, 487, blah, 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 blah. And so that I knew that phone number contained the number to her PIN card. And so I just took the last 4 digits of that phone number and put it in the bank machine, and boom, the money came out. And all my friends were like, what the hell? Like, what in the hell? How did that happen? And to me, it was just normal, because I know I was raised without boundaries in terms of what possibilities were. When I was very, very young, my mother told me I could walk through walls if I really wanted to learn how to do that. And started to help me meditate at a very young age. But after a couple times, I was too young. My mind was too goofy. I started laughing, and it was a joke, so I just sort of let it go. But I was always very, very interested in that, and I was raised without any medication. My mom raised me on herbs, and I always did a lot of meditational healings on me if I got ill or whatever. So the body was very, very clean. She raised very good, and there was an interest in the mystical side of life that sort of carried through, and that allowed me to go beyond barriers that most people wouldn't even dream of. That being said, up to the present moment, many, many, many years later, there came a point about March this year in which I realized that the life of Renee, this life, all the history I've ever had, being here on Earth, the way I interpreted everything was as a story. Pretty much, I came to realize that everything I've ever told myself until this point was just a story. It was just my interpretation based on how I saw the world and whatnot. And I thought to myself, if I wanted to have a different life, what would I do? If I wanted to write a new story, what would I write? What would it be? Would it be better than the story that's already here, or would it be worse? And I looked at the story, at the whole memory of everything I thought ever happened to me, and I said, well, it is an amazing life. It's a great story. It'll make a great book or something, because I didn't get into any of the details of my life deeply. However, I thought, no, I would write a whole new story that would be, and the only word I can come up with would be unlimited. I would just unlimit everything. And so realizing that my whole life up until this point has been a story, I just said, well, and I'm reacting to that story. I'm pulling memories from the past, judging myself based on things I've seen, I've heard, or I think I should do, all these things. And it just occurred to me that if I want to be happier, I just have to rewrite a new story. Just get rid of the old story. There's just, it's not serving me anymore, and write a new one. And that new story was called Unlimited. And it was right around at this time that I had a realization that being unlimited, I went to a party pretty much, and I met a guy who I've never met before, and he told me about, he was lecturing to me at this party about things I lecture to other people about. And it was different hearing it from someone else. And a couple of things he said just hit home, and I just knew in that moment that what he said is, Renee, you know, we need to accumulate our energy, and once we've accumulated enough life force energy, that we can turn our bodies, our physical bodies, into light bodies, and turn and basically travel the universe as a light body, but still be here, like still be on Earth, you know, and not having to die. And this I've known, yet I forgot for a certain period of time that this is my true nature. And in that moment, I was like, yes, I just seized upon it. And that was it. In that moment, I made a decision, done. It was a done deal. And the next day I woke up, it seemed as though my thoughts were at a distance from me. I was no longer in them. They were kind of like a few feet away from me. So I realized, wow, I could sort of, there's a bit of relief here. I could sort of have more headspace. And so this continued for about a month and a half, into which thoughts got a little farther and farther away from me, until they're like 30, 40 feet away from me. And I could see them rising almost like balloons, but I was at a distance away. So I wasn't bombarded by loud, banging thoughts in my head at all anymore. They were sort of over there, and I could pick and choose which thought I wanted to entertain. And so what happened in the middle of April is something said to me, "Are you ready to let it all go, Renee?" And I was sitting near my computer, and I thought to myself, no, I have family, I have friends, I have artwork I do, I have lecturing, I love what I'm doing, I don't want to let it all go. And I knew what that meant. I knew that meant surrender, but I didn't know what was on the other side of that. I didn't know. So about a week later, after saying no to the universe, I don't want to wake up, I got a massive mental mind attack of thoughts just bombarding me and making me go almost crazy. It was nightmarish, actually. And that went on for about 2 hours until I focused on being present in the now moment and just focusing on listening to music and on focusing on each note. And so what I learned during this period was really profound. So what had happened, I was sitting at my computer working, and this giant thought sort of appeared in front of me, like 30 feet away. And it was a thought of fear, and normally the fear wouldn't even touch me. But at this time, I saw myself shrink, and this thing got bigger, and clairvoyantly, literally, I moved inside of the thought, inside of it. And it was just so overwhelming. It was just mind-blowing. And I stayed there for about 2 hours trying to stop my mind from bombarding me with these fears. And I was eventually able to float out of this giant structure. It looked like it was about 70 feet tall, and I literally kind of floated out above it and pulled myself back. And then the thought went away, and I went over here, and when we're separated. And it was at that point I realized that thoughts are actually dimensions. So we are intrinsically, before thoughts, we are this absolutely blissful, peaceful, silent, amazing, insightful, like pure consciousness, pure awareness. And what happens is when you think a thought, it goes inside, your awakeness goes inside of a thought and lives in that 3D world. The thought actually makes a 3D world around you. Each thought that you entertain, it actually goes inside of a thought and creates a 3D reality with that thought around you. And now that's just one thought. Now, most people, Carol? Most people who go throughout their day think between 60 and 90,000 thoughts a day. Now, what that means is, it means that each thought that you're thinking literally creates a 3D reality around you. So between 60 and 90,000 thoughts a day, we are repeating the same thoughts over and over again, which are creating the same physical circumstances that we find ourselves in every day. So what I realized was thoughts are dimensions. The more dimensions you live in, the more you're trapped into those dimensions, the more you're locked into those thoughts. The less thoughts you have, the less dimensions you're living in, meaning that there's no time, there's no space, there's no borders, there's no barriers, because there's no thoughts to lock you into any barrier or border or limitation. So that was the one thing I had discovered. And it was soon after that, about a week later, that I realized that voice asked me again, "Are you ready to let go?" And I said, yes. In fact, I'm more than ready to let go. I'm ready to die right now for truth, for ultimate truth. I don't care if a Mack truck comes and smashes into my house and kills me, a meteorite, a stray bullet, I don't care. I'm ready to go right now. And I was dead serious. And it was about, not even a week later, I was walking with a friend of mine, and we went to Costco, and we were shopping around, and then just in 1 second flat, I popped out of a 3D reality. Everything became bright and colorful. The voices sort of drowned out to the background. There was this deep silence. Everything looked and felt different. there's this magical sort of presence that just swept over me. And my friend and I were experiencing the same thing at the same time, exactly, like literally the same experience, and we were laughing, we couldn't believe it. I knew we had a shift in consciousness. I didn't know how long, how permanent it would be, how, you know, if this is a temporary thing or not. But it stayed. It stayed for, you know, continually now. And so I'm going to explain to you a little bit about what it is like living here, and break down the illusions of 3D reality that are keeping you locked into a state in which is not pleasurable compared to living here. It's just not the truth. It's just a fake, hacked version of reality. It's not. It's literally a matrix, and it's not here by accident either. It's purposely been put here. So you could say that there seems to be an awakening right now on a.
You said it was purposely put here.
Yes.
Can you?
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
Yeah, I'm gonna go through
Okay.
all of it. Absolutely, I'm gonna break it down to the illusion and how it got here and whatnot. So I have noticed there's a serious level of hypnotic trance, optical, audio illusion happening right now within each of our minds that is locking us into a reality that is literally not real, and I mean literally, not just hypothetically. What I've come to experience now in this state of consciousness, and you can call it fifth dimensional, fourth dimensional. In fact, any dimension, any label I put on it is erroneous, because it's literally I stepped into infinity. However, there seems to be a transition period between time, living in time, and living out of time, and that's where things can get really funny. So that's what's happening over here. There's a massive shift, moment to moment, and I wouldn't say day to day. I literally mean moment to moment on how I perceive and feel about this thing called life here. So the state I've come into is a state of recognizing that. Let me start with the interesting things. When I had first awakened, I realized that all my senses seemed to be amplified. I would say several hundred times what they would normally be. In fact, the body here feels like about 100 orgasms going through every cell of the body every moment. And some parts of the body more than others. Like sometimes the eyes will feel like they want to pop out. Not like hurting wise, but so much pleasure that I describe it as excruciating pleasure, because it's so much pleasure sometimes that I don't know what to do with myself. In fact, one day I wanted to go to a movie. We wanted to go to a movie together, and we had to turn around because I just was in too much bliss. I wouldn't be able to focus on the movie. So the body, in different parts of the body, you may experience blissful sensations. And when I say orgasmic, I don't mean sexual. It's just extreme pleasure in parts of your body that you didn't know had pleasure cells or sensations. And every cell of your body does. Every cell of the body can experience this bliss, if you want to call it that. And this bliss is a natural state of being. That's what we naturally are in this heightened state of being. So all sensations are dramatically enhanced to the point where we all know what eating ice cream like was when we were a child, or certain things, and we're like, wow, it just doesn't taste the same as it did back in the day, and things are run down, and your senses aren't as rich. So all this starts to come back. Like every meal I eat, actually, every single thing I eat now is like I'm eating it for the first time, and it tastes mind-blowing. I can't even believe some of the food I eat. It's just crazy. Taking a shower is like a whole nother dimension. The water on the body, just you can't believe how good it feels. Brushing your teeth, even sometimes going to the bathroom, for number one is like orgasmic. And music, it sounds it takes on about 10 different dimensions. So music now is not just a flat little sound I'm hearing, it's a 3D, 450, whatever you call it, experience that. So I can see colors and shapes, very rich, deep, 3D, sort of interdimensional shapes moving through the air, combining with other sounds, combining with what I'm looking at. It's like all senses combine to create a unique, very deep and rich experience. And quite often I find myself tasting things very, like as though they're in my mouth. Peanut butter, barbecue chicken, French fries, sauce, whatever. Just I can just taste things in the mouth while I'm walking around doing whatever I'm doing. What has happened is my mind used to be located right behind the eyes here, right in the head. It seems to have went beyond that now to where it's connected with the universal mind, if you want to call it like that. I don't know how to explain it. Other than at this moment right now, I'm present here, yet it's just a small portion of me that's present here. It's just a sliver compared to the inner worlds, you could say, that I'm experiencing right now as I'm talking to you. So I'm talking to you here, yet there's 99.9999% of me elsewhere. But it's not really elsewhere. It's just I'll explain that as well. So everything seems to be very dreamy, very much like I'm dreaming right now. Like this is not real. And everything looks shiny, shimmery, kind of floaty, watery, liquidy almost. Kind of like I could see infinity in the air, waves of infinity. And everyone I look at, or everything I hear or touch, reminds me of this infinity, of this endless worlds that are here. I can look at people and I can visually make them smaller or bigger, and everything sort of is malleable, it's movable. Time is completely shifted. Just one moment. Okay. Time's completely shifted. It seems to be liquidy. Hours can go by in an experience, and when I look at the clock, only 10 minutes has gone by. Or a whole day can go on by, but it feels like it's a whole month of experience. And there's a reason for that, and I'll get into that in just a moment. You want to ask a question?
Yeah, what you're talking about. Does it feel like your focus is here, and yet you are everywhere? You are focused here, which is just the speck of you, but you are everywhere?
I would say that everything that exists, ever could exist, did exist, will exist, comes from me.
That's right. So your focus is here in this room with us,
Yeah.
and yet you are everywhere. You are everything.
There's more than one focus going on right now.
Okay.
This is just one small part of my focus. But when I say my, and when I say I'm everything that ever has been or could be or will be, I'm not talking about Renee. I am and I am not. Renee, this body right here is a manifestation of pure life force, of pure, all that is. I mean, I'm alive, and life is everything. And thus, I know that now, and I recognize that, and by recognizing that, the feeling of separateness, this idea of being separate from the universe, it just went away. And I realized that this is all me, and I see bodies here, and people here, and chairs, and whatnot here, yet I know that's not what I'm looking at. I know you're not people. I know there's not chairs. I know this is not even Renee. It's pure life force. It's pure consciousness, you could say, that is manifesting as every shape in the universe. Everything that ever could be and will be and has been is one life force that is appearing as everyone here. So we're all one thing, yet the mind has developed a optical illusion, you could say, to say that we're separate. Now that optical illusion is what I'm going to explain to you what it's doing, how it works, and how to remove yourself from the optical illusion so you can see what's really here, which is just mind-blowing. It's just mind-blowing. There's just pure joy, inspiration, and love, and just a silence of serenity that's here all the time. And life is just absolutely shockingly beautiful. It's just so amazing and mind-blowing that it's even remembering who Rene was before, like how Rene thought and dreamed, and whatever he did was just so limited compared to this. It's like a joke almost. And not that it's a bad thing. I mean, I appreciate, you know, everything I've been through. It's just, it seems like a faded memory. It seems like it's 100 years ago. So there's just a knowingness that death is just an illusion completely. There's a freedom of the mind to go into the universe and zoom around and look at all that you are, and it's this infinite journey. And each day the perception changes. Sometimes I find myself not being able to feel the body at all, not knowing how I got to where I gotten, because I'm so much in the present moment. I have no memory of what I did even a minute ago. In fact, I went to Kelowna recently and came back, and I went to my house, and as soon as I got to my house, I went into the bathroom and came back out, and I was shocked. I walked into my living room, and I saw outside, you know, trees and cars and everything, and I was like, wow, what is all this? And I realized, oh, I'm at home and I'm looking outside, because I didn't even know there was anything other than what I was doing at that moment existed. So I was just so present. So I'm going to explain a little bit about the optical illusion happening here. And we've all gone through life believing what we've been told about science and, you know, reality, how it all works and how old the Earth is, and so on and so forth. However, has any of us actually ever sat down on our own with a pen and paper and decided, you know what, I'm not going to believe what the scientists say. I'm going to figure out time and space and gravity and life on my own. You know, we always just assume, you know, we're busy with work, we have a boyfriend, girlfriend, or we're doing things in life, and we think, we'll just leave that to the scientists. We'll leave them to figure out the answers to the universe, gravity, time, space, you know, what's going on in life and whatever. And we just think, oh, I'll just continue my job and work, and I'll leave that to the experts. Yet, it may not come to some people's awareness. However, everyone has their own story. Everyone has their own agenda. Everyone has their own ideas of how things work. Same with the scientists. So rather than us going through life assuming that we have all the knowledge there is to know, why don't we discover what that knowledge is for ourselves, or that wisdom is, or that experience is? And that's exactly what I did. I stopped assuming that I knew what was going on, or that others who told me what was going on, I stopped assuming that they knew that they knew what was going on. So I thought, I'm going to put this to a test and find out for myself. And one of the first things I noticed is a problem with time. Once the thoughts stopped or sort of went away, I realized there was a lack of time. And I realized within my awareness here that time is an illusion. It just doesn't hold up to scrutiny. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm not going to teach you anything, nothing here to learn. The only thing you may learn is that you know nothing. And that's the height of intelligence, because we'll see. I'll show you some examples, and you can let me know if what I'm saying makes sense or doesn't make sense. Okay? So I'm just going to point out the obvious. That's it. Okay? Right now tell me if you all agree or disagree, that right now is right now. It's just here. You agree? Okay. Right now, in this moment, as far as we can tell, this moment has never happened before. This is the first time I'm saying this, first time you're sitting here right now. It's a brand new experience for us, correct? Okay. In this brand new experience, this nowness, this newness, this fresh new moment. Can you stop this new moment from happening? Can you stop this freshness, newness, this nowness from happening? Any of you? No? Okay. Can you see any beginning or end to this newness, this freshness, this brand new moment? Any beginning or end to it? No? Okay, do you see anything stopping it from happening? No? Okay. Is there any effort for you to exist in this moment right now? No. Okay. So, you exist effortlessly right now. Right now is right now. And it's a new now, a new now. It's always fresh, always new. Never happened before. Okay? No beginning, no end. No limitation, nothing stopping it. So is it safe to say that this moment right now is unlimited because there's nothing stopping it from happening? There's no beginning and end, right? Okay? And you exist in this moment, right? So is it safe to say that you are unlimited right now? Because where's the limitation, right? Okay. It's brand new, it's fresh, it's never happened before, it's unlimited, and you exist now, so you must be unlimited. Now, where does limitation occur? Well, if we think about what we are or go into the past and think, oh, I'm this person, okay? Where did you get that information from? From the past, okay? When you think about your life, everything you've been through, everything you've done, all the experiences, people you met, places you've been, the loves you've had, the hates you've had. If I was to ask you right now, in this moment, to describe yourself without thinking about it, just, no one could do that. You cannot describe yourself right now without thinking about it. It's because we all think that all of our experiences, all of our thoughts, all of our memories and experiences make us who we are today. Okay? So in our mind's eye, in our mind, we're just going to pull together our description of ourselves and sort of hold it in front of us and say, hey, this is what I am, and this is who I am, and this is how I got to be who I am. Now, these are a compilation of thoughts and memories. Okay? Now, I'm going to ask you right now, are you living? You're a living being right now, right? You're not a thought, correct? Are you a thought? You're living. So when we describe ourselves to others, or even to ourselves, we describe it using thoughts. Okay, oh, this is where I went, this is how tall I am, this is why I like to eat food, blah, blah, blah. Those are thoughts. And we get like maybe 500 thoughts together and say, that's me. But are you really a thought? Are you really a thought? Clearly you're not a thought. Okay? Now, if right now is right now and always been right now, and has always been the present moment, when was there ever room for a past to occur that has always been the present moment? And it's always been brand new. It's always been brand new, always fresh, always unlimited, always here, always now. Where was there ever a past to occur other than a thought, a memory showing up in the now saying it's from the past? Okay? The past right now is unlimited. The past is a dream of limitation. It's a dream of a character, whatever your name is, and the memories that come along with it, showing up in the now, saying you're that character, saying you are that limitation. But really, you're here right now. So where is the past right now? You were born into the present moment. And you've always been there. So it's not like there was a past at some time to even occur. You've always been in the present moment. So the past seems to be an optical illusion being played to pull you out of the infinity, which is the present moment right now, which is your infinite. There's infinite potential here right now for anything. And pull you out of the present moment and put you into a state of limitation based on your ideals of what you think you are, where you've been, what's coming up next. You name it. You have a whole story for how life works, and it's all based upon the past. But where is the past? Where did it ever exist? If the now has always been the now, where could there ever be a past? There couldn't ever be a past. It's just an optical illusion put on by the matrix, if you want to call it that, that's geared to keep your attention away from the present moment. It's just all your attention, most people's attention, is not here in the present moment. In fact, most people cannot, even not on the highest level of, say, an average human, not that there's an average, but average person can keep their attention in the present moment for at most 19 to 20 seconds before a thought takes them one way or another. 19, 20 seconds. Some people say, don't take my word for it, that after being able to continuously keep your attention on the present moment for 7 minutes is when you reach the first stage of enlightenment. And I don't mean enlightenment as in like, worlds exploding of joy in front of you. Right? Just a measure of relief of, what's the word? Peace, inner peace, so to speak. And allegedly, if you can keep your awareness present for 45 minutes to an hour, then you reach a second state of awakening or enlightenment, in which you now have developed that as a routine. You're now clear from stories. Okay, so when you don't have stories, you don't have agendas. Okay, now it was the strangest thing for me to, after awakening, after I integrated more of it, to start to meet people and not have any agenda. Normally I'd meet a woman who I thought was attractive, and I'd be thinking, oh, look at her legs, look at her boobs, look at her face, and or what can I get from her, or maybe she wants something from me, or just something. And every person I would meet, there'd be something. I'd be judging them, looking at them, thinking about them, psychically reading them, or they'd want something from me, and there'd be this give and take energetically between each person and each object. Not just each person, object. Anything I saw was just this, what can I get from it, or what can it do for me? It was always about me. That ceased, and it was the strangest thing, meeting people, men, women, opportunities, and not caring either way, not judging, nothing, just like being like a little kid again. So one thing that I've noticed is that life is like being a little kid again. There's a non-judgment, there's a happiness, a joy to each situation, and there's just a non-agenda. There's just a clarity. So you can see clearly. You're not motivated either way to get something or do something. You're just here, present, without any external idea upon that. And so there's just a feeling of being at home at all times, because there's nothing you really need. There's so much pleasure moving through me now. I used to want to go to Hawaii and all these places around the world for vacation because it's so cold here. It doesn't really matter to me anymore, because me walking from here to the car is like Hawaii. It's just so much pleasure just existing, that anything I do on top of just sitting here is just more joy. So there's a self-satisfaction that comes with knowing that you are this eternal presence that has always been here and never not going to be here. So you're looking around you, and you see your body is here. Now, we're all told that we have 5 senses, okay? There's actually a 6th sense we're not told about, and it's not the ESP sense either. And by sensing, I mean that, for example, you're all sensing me up here with your vision and with your hearing, okay? Now, when you look at something, normally, you don't say, hey, I'm that. I'm sensing that, so I'm that. Clearly, when you see a car drive by, you don't sit there every car drive by and say, yeah, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that, I'm that. You don't say that. Same thing with things you hear, touch, taste, and smell. You don't say that. However, there's something that you're aware of. Most people are aware of. And this sense, they think they are that sense. Okay? It's the sense of thoughts. Okay? We're all aware of thoughts. We're all aware of these. If we're aware of it, then we must be sensing it. Okay? Where do we come up with the idea that we are that which we're sensing? I don't believe they told us in school, hey, you are your senses. I've told you, you have senses, but not that you are your senses. So even if we were our senses, hypothetically, why would we choose to associate with one of those senses and then remove the other 5 senses? So in order for us to sense our senses, in order for us to be aware of our senses, we must be outside of them so we can look and say, hey, those are senses. Okay? Just like for us right now to be operating in time and space, we must be outside of it to recognize and point out time and space. Okay? Just like right now, we're existing here, and I hold these arms in front. I can see arms, I can see movement, I can hear a voice coming out, I can feel vibration, yet I'm sensing those things. I'm sensing it, so I must be outside of those things in order to sense it. Thus, this whole reality, if you want to call it that, is I'm sensing it. Okay? This is all happening in my awareness. Okay? So reality is happening inside your awareness. Okay? Because you're aware, and it's happening in your awareness. So, thus, reality here is, the big game about reality is about association or identification. What have you identified with? Now, most people have identified with their thoughts. They think they are their thoughts. Whatever the thoughts say, I'm Renee, I'd like to go swing set and swing. You know, and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then I'll go do that. And thinking, yeah, that was me who said that. Yet, it wasn't me who said that. It was a thought that arose in my awareness. It's like a car driving by that said, hey, I'm Renee, I want to go do this. And I said, okay, yes. And seized upon that and tried to own that and say, yeah, that's mine, that's me, that's who I am. And then you build a story around what this voice is saying. Okay? Now, this voice can say anything it wants. And most people never question that. They don't question it. They don't even inquire to see if that voice is valid in any way whatsoever. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean by that. I'll give you 2 examples of what I mean by this voice and how delusional it is. It's just absolutely ridiculous. When you can get outside of it to see what it's doing and what it's saying, it's absurd. We all know that if someone wants to judge you or attempts to judge you, that their judgments are just opinions, and they're wrong. And they're wrong because someone has to walk a mile in your shoes to know you. They can't just walk up to you and call you a goofball, you know, and really be right, because they don't know you. I mean, they'd have to walk a mile in your shoes. Do you agree? Okay? So that person's opinion or thought can't know you because that opinion or thought is not you. Okay? The thought or opinion they have is not you. So whatever they're saying can't be true. Okay, and now take that right there. Can a thought ever be someone? Can a thought ever be someone? No? Yeah? No. Can a thought ever be something else? No. So if a thought can't be someone or be something else, how does a thought know what it's talking about if it never had any experience as being a living thing to acquire any wisdom or knowledge or experience at all? A thought knows nothing because it's not a thing. It's just an idea. But the idea is not a living, breathing being like you and I. So these thoughts that are talking to us, hey, Ray, you should go here and do this and that, and because you did this, that other person did this, and that means that. Well, if a thought's never been anyone or anything, how would it know these things? Okay? It's just dreaming these stories up on the fly, so to speak. The mind just repeats. It just takes information in and repeats it. Okay? That's its job, is to repeat information and to strategize and judge and calculate. But there's nothing new and original about the mind. It's like a machine. It's like a computer. You put information in, you put good programming in, you'll get good programming out. You put crappy information in, crappy information out. The minds are operating on the same way. And there really is no mind. There's just thoughts that say there's a mind. Okay? Because that's all we're aware of, our thoughts. Has anyone ever seen a mind? Clearly not. So does a mind exist? It's just a thought. It's just an idea, just like all other ideas. So with that being said, a thought can't know anything because it's never been anything to know anything. Now, let me give an example. Right now, your life, your whole experience from age 0 to now, all the emotions, all the thoughts, all the experiences, taste, touch, feelings you've had, all this rich whole life experience. If I was to write down one word, or if you were to write down one word to describe your whole life, would that one word accurately represent your whole life? Clearly not. Clearly there's an infinite amount of experiences that one word can never describe. Even if I was to write a book of 1,000 words, autobiography, even if you were to write your own autobiography, would that autobiography, or 1,000 pages, or words, actually come close to the experience of being you? There's no way. They're just words. It's like trying to describe an apple to somebody who's never eaten an apple. There's no way to describe the taste of it. Okay? So we all know intrinsically there's a gigantic depth behind who we are that even the name Renee, or your name or anyone's name, could never account for. Okay? So keep that in mind when we go out into the world and look at other objects. Look at this per se. I mean, does anyone know what the reality is of this? What this is thinking, feeling, or doing, or what the molecules or atoms are doing in there? No one knows. It's just this thing there that we're like, oh, it looks like a church pew, or stand, or whatever. But we're just guessing. We're just labeling it based on what we've been told. So the reality behind everything is huge and deep and rich. Now, keep in mind, our own realities are huge and deep and rich. So if anyone was to label us anything negative or positive or in any way, not only would that not be true, it'd be a lie, because the reality behind us is way beyond that label. Okay? Now, when we go into the world, we look at other people, we look at objects, and we label them: car, truck, cell phone, McDonald's, Big Mac, whatever it is. What we're doing is we're ignoring the reality of the actual living life force behind that object or person, and shrinking it into one word, which we've already established can never match or even come close to the experience of the real being, the real thing. Okay, so whatever we say about ourselves or others cannot be true, because the reality is just a million, billion times bigger than that. So by us labeling anything, we're literally creating a false, imaginary world defined by those labels, and ignoring the real reality, the infinite depth behind each situation. Infinite depth. Like your cells go on forever. You could zoom in on your cells and atoms and protons, and it will just zoom in forever. It never stops. And you can zoom out into space and time and galaxies forever. It never stops. It's one continuous stream from bottom to top. And it's infinite. Each cell is infinite. You're a walking infinity. Walking, talking infinity. Thinking it's a human being. And clearly that thought of it being a human being is not right. Because how could it, one word, account for this infinite experience going on here? Or even 1,000 words. So we're walking around all day labeling things, thinking we know what these things are, when we don't know what they are. And because of that, we're living in a life in which we're all confused. We don't know what's going on. Things happen from one day to the next. Confusion. This person did that. This did that. Oh, I should fix my hair. Oh, I can't go out. My hair's not done. And who knows what? The mind will go crazy and think all sorts of crazy thoughts all day, all night, all speculating, judging, trying to figure things out, strategizing, trying to figure out the best move to make today, tomorrow, to get this done, that done. It's just strategizing, because the mind doesn't know anything. It doesn't know anything, so it needs to figure things out, because it doesn't know anything. Why doesn't the mind know anything? Because in the mind, the thoughts are not alive. They can't be anything. So they're struggling for meaning, because the thoughts have no meaning. They're just spontaneous happenings. that have no basis in reality. So basically, we end up living life in a pretend imaginary scenario in which we've labeled objects and people as these limited definitions, when clearly we know there's a whole living reality behind them that we're not taking into account. And by us labeling them, we're just falling deeper into sleep, deeper and deeper and deeper into this imaginary world of ideas and limited concepts that basically your thoughts actually physically shape the way reality looks to you in each moment. Physically. My vision, my everything just completely shifted the moment I recognized, I was aware beyond the body, beyond the thoughts, beyond the emotions, beyond even the idea of the self. There's an awakeness, there's a real intelligence here that when you look at human intelligence, what is capable of doing in that limited aspect, it's not even intelligence. It's actually the opposite of that. It's actually just complete vanity and arrogance and complete delusion. It's just absolutely shockingly insane at the way the mind operates in that limited human perspective. It's just, the difference is so vast that all I see now is infinite potential in every moment. And from the other side, you see infinite limitation and strive for infinite potential. But from here, it's just infinite potential, and everything else is just limitation on top of that. So this feeling, this knowingness of infinite potential brings about a reality in which miracles and infinite possibilities can happen from day to day and moment to moment, and they do. You know, time and space and the laws of gravity and cause and effect and miracles and everything's just, it's just magic, absolute pure magic just arrives, because this is what we are. We are living. We are alive. And if we look at the universe, if you walk outside right now and look at the environment and look in every direction, you can't see the end of physical creation in any direction. It's just creation just goes on to the horizon in every direction. And when you look at a car or a tree, you say that's part of the environment. That's part of nature, the tree or the lions and zebras and giraffes and whatnot. And this body is part of that environment that goes on forever in every direction. And I can't see the beginning and end to the outside anywhere. It's just infinite. And this body is part of that. So the body and its manifestation must be infinite as well. Not just based on that, just off of physical observation, but clearly there's an infinite worlds going on within the body, and cells and atoms and who knows what going on. And each cell and atom has their own life, has its own conscience. There could be parties going on. There could be a big party in here and, fighting over there. I don't know what's going on in there. Who knows? So this is a whole ecosystem, a whole universe is happening right here. And so there is no individual. There's no individual Renee. There's just a thought popping up saying, hey, I'm Renee. But is that thought right? What does that thought know? Has the thought ever been anything? Does it even know anything? Clearly not. And can the thought correctly display the real reality going on here? Clearly not. So thoughts are just delusion. They're just made up stories to explain this thing called reality. Now, if this moment is brand new, never happened before, fresh, unstoppable, unlimited, right now, how can we use limited past ideas to explain this brand new, never happened before, unlimited moment? Doesn't make sense. How? It doesn't even make any logical sense that I could use a past idea, a past that never existed, on top of that, to explain something brand new, unlimited, that's never happened. It's just delusional. So we're just making up stories as we go along to just fulfill our own wishes. We are unlimited, infinite beings, right here, right now, and with unlimited potential. And with all that unlimited, we're like gods of our own universe. With all that unlimited power, all that unlimited wisdom and, what's the word? The will, our will. We willed this scenario into existence. We are living our own imagination in real time. So everything you've ever thought, done, action, any emotion, everything anything you can think about has brought you here to this point to where this is the sum total of your imagination manifested right here, right now, including your abilities and your height, your weight, what you can do, what you can perceive, who you're, everything. You've literally defined each part of your life with a label. My brother, my mother, my sister, my shoes, my car, my hair. No one told you, no one forced you to label anything the way that you've labeled it. You came up with it on your own. All your conclusions, all your traumas, all your past, all these things remain in the past, which is not here right now. Now, why do these things seem to occur? Why do these things seem to show up? Why does the past seem to be here? Well, with our infinite power, infinite potential, and I mean infinite meaning that there's no borders, you're just exploding in every direction at all times. That infiniteness can account for infinite unawakenedness, infinite sleep, infinite delusion, infinite limitation, because we're unlimited, and unlimited accounts for everything that could be. So limitation also occurs within the unlimitedness that we are. And that's what we would call our dark side, our sleeping self, our shadow self. Okay, it's a limitation. It's dark, it's constricting. It's not happy, it's not loving, it's not freeing. Yet that is a part of us. Because we're infinite, it accounts for infinite darkness. But really, if we're infinite, then that limitation or that darkness can't be real. Because if we're infinite and that withholds limitation within it, then the limitation is only an illusion. It's only a mirage. It only seems that way because really you're infinite. So that's where there's a conundrum, as people say, why do good things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? Why does life seem to be so hard? Because we've imagined, that it was a possibility for us in our life, and we defined it in that way. We all know that any situation that you encounter, you can change into a positive situation, any negative circumstance. We know that we can encounter any situation and turn it positive or negative or twist it any way we want. That's because all situations and events are neutral. They're all neutral. And then we place our version of events, our story, on top of that neutral event. And that neutral event, because it's neutral, it doesn't mean only that it's not good or bad. It means it's neutral. Literally, it's infinite. Infinite. That every situation is infinite. And because every situation is infinite, we have free will to choose how we want to interpret that, or what we want to do with that, if anything at all. So, truly, we give 100% meaning to everything that we do. And that meaning, because we have infinite power and we're infinite beings, we manifest that meaning into 3D physical reality, which then occurs as our daily experience. And hence we're living our daily experience. Now, you're already manifesting your life right now. So, you might as well manifest the ultimate. You might as well sit down and manifest the ultimate life you want. However, I would suggest you even take it one step further. And that's not even imagine a new story. Literally, get rid of all the stories. Because what happens is you stop thinking about things and you start being. Okay? You actually step into a place of being rather than thinking. So it's the evolution of consciousness, you want to call it that. Moving from a thinking being, doesn't know anything, guessing, trying to work out through life, bumping through the dark, to just being your whole experience. And I don't mean just the body here. I mean whatever you encounter, you actually can become. So when you meet someone, it's no longer judging them, guessing them, thinking about them. You literally just become their energy, their beingness, and you just see what they're going through. You feel, you like merge with that person, if you want to call it that. So there's understanding. There's there's no judgment, because number one, everything you're dealing with right now is our whole life, in each moment, is it that is experienced in this nowness, this newness, this freshness. This is all we know. This is newness, nowness right now happening. And everything, and we exist in this nowness. We exist right now. And everything else that we're looking at exists now as well. So everything must be coming out of us. Because myself, this awareness, and this experience of this room and whatever here, I have never been separate from any of my experiences. Every experience I've had, I've been part of it. That means everyone else in my experience, if you want to call it that, is also part of me, because it's all happening within me. Okay, so there is a literal oneness. Okay, when you were born on the planet, you come out of the mother's womb, you entered a system of life here on Earth. Doctors, diapers, food, water, loving, cuddling, whatever. The moment you stepped into the Earth, you were a child of the Earth, you could say, in one respect, physically speaking. If you were to zoom out of the Earth, maybe a mile above, and span across about 1 year or 100 years, you'd see civilizations come and go, buildings being built, and horses and cattle dying, and people dying and being born, and it's just kind of floating up and down on Earth, of just things being born and dying back into Earth. So we've come to some sort of idea that we're not part of nature. You know, this man-made, and I'll have to go out and walk for nature and go for hikes in nature. You know, and we see animals, lions kill a giraffe or whatever, and that's okay. It's nature killing. It's nature doing it. It's okay. But if a human kills an animal, or a human kills a human, that's not nature. That's not the way it's supposed to be. That's wrong. You know, I'll let you know when we stop being part of nature. You know, was it age 13 or 10 or 5 or when? When do we stop being part of nature? And what does man-made mean anyways? I mean, everything comes from the Earth, the bodies, the atoms, the electrons, the minerals. That makes everything here. So what does man-made mean? I mean, we were born from Earth. The Earth gave birth to us. So where does their man fit into any of this? And where is there a you that fits into any of this? Because the moment you are born, you're into an environment. And that environment, you're reacting to that environment 24/7. The environment and you are one. All the food, air, you need these things. And everyone here is here together. And it's an environmental system, if you want to call it something like that, that's happening. So this is a whole machine of working back and forth. So if you piss me off, you piss me off, blah, 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 and then I go and hold that, and I go talk to someone else, and they get pissed off, and it's just this whole domino effect, because every moment and every waking minute, you're reacting to your environment back and forth. So it's just this automated system of reactions back and forth, boom, 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 boom. That's what you can call karma, if you believe in karma or even want to believe in it. Yet when you go beyond reacting automatically, then you realize that life is not the way you thought it was. There's no need, all this reacting and all this figuring and searching, and we're searching all lives for ourselves, when we actually already are ourselves. We actually already are ourselves. So why are we going to search for ourselves? Okay? A thought can never know anything. So it's going to continue to search forever, because it will never come to a conclusion, because it doesn't know anything. So a thought can never find out the truth, because the truth is beyond a thought. And your beingness is so massive that that one thought can never explain you. Even 1,000 thoughts can never explain you. So why even bother thinking? Because when you stop thinking, life tells you what it is. This, whatever this is, tells you what it is. Everything tells you what it is constantly, not once. It's just continually just boom, boom, boom. And it's so amazing and so beautiful and it's so uplifting that you can move from one day to the next, 1 hour to the next, 1 year to the next, and not have to think about anything anymore. You don't have to strategize what you're going to eat tomorrow, next day, this, that. It's taken care of for you. In fact, you no longer need to go out into the world to do things anymore. In fact, it comes to you. So it appears as though reality is coming to me, rather than me going out there now. It's sort of the flow has switched from me going to places and doing this and that, to me just being present, and then physical atoms and molecules wrapping around this awareness, or not around, happening within this awareness. That events just come to you, and you don't need to strategize anymore because it's already taken care of. The universe is already taken care of all the details. I just need to go with the flow. And I'll meet someone the next day, I'll get a phone call, this, that. It's just, it's all perfectly done. There's nothing I need to do. It's done, I'm done. It's like life is living itself for me. And literally, your perception shifts in that. A really good experiment to do is to close your eyes, like go for a walk in a park, close your eyes and walk, and don't try to visualize what's happening, but feel what it's like to walk around without visualizing your feet walking or arms moving or anything, and just feel all these sensations as you're walking. It feels like this weird thing down there walking. It's this weird feeling down there. So, and then after a while, like a minute or so, like notice all these sounds, all these feelings, all these sensations going on. But you, because your eyes are closed, you don't really quite know where it's happening or how it's happening. It's just this weird sort of sensation. And then when your eyes are open and you're walking, try to imagine that you're not walking, and that even the appearance of the legs and arms and sidewalk is coming towards you, just pulling towards you. And that's sort of the sensation. It's like there appears to be Renee walking forward, but at the same time it appears as though I'm not moving, and the atoms and molecules of reality is bending around me at the same time. So it kind of reverses the flow of reality. So it's just a seamless, effortless sort of existence in this state. I'm going to break for a little bit here. You can get some tea or juice or water, use the restroom, and we can continue a bit after that. And then if anyone has some questions as well, we can answer them. So, thank you.